and welcome to our second morning of our Klaserie session. You're joining me, Barne, fishing for big carp at Klaserie. I'm sure you can see just over my shoulder, the sun's rising. That's the one thing about Klaserie, the most beautiful sunrises you'll ever see in your life. Now, yesterday we had an extremely disappointing day. I lost a fish that I could not stop. It just took line, and eventually my heart sank into my feet because I knew it was swimming right over a bank of rocks, and eventually it went around one of the rocks, and I just eased off a little bit on the pressure because I knew if the line keeps going across that rock it would cut, and the inevitable happened. The line parted, and I just felt like I could cry right there. To make matters worse, later on in the early evening, I'd just redone all the rods absolutely perfectly spot on, and an Egyptian goose came through and wiped out 3 of my rods completely. I had to redo them. Eventually I had to cut the lines off and rejoin them because it was such a mess. I got the lines back out at 9. I got wiped out by a small barbel. So the rods that are in right now have been placed absolutely perfectly. I'm leaving them until I get a bite on them, and I've got one that I'm going to redo now. I've changed tactics a bit. I've stepped up my tackle quite substantially. From 25-pound leaders I've gone right up to 43-pound leaders, and I've actually just made the leaders at least another 2 or 3 rod lengths longer, just to enable me to hold those fish back from the rocky bank on the opposite side. And hopefully, if I am lucky or fortunate enough to pick up any fish today with this cold front that's also moving in, I'm definitely going to try and bully them away from the rocks. So let's see if we can manage a bite, and we'll show you those tactics. Alright guys, so basically as far as my setup goes, I've got 3 rods on braid now, and 1 on mono. I changed the one over to mono because after I had that barbel last night, I was actually sort of wondering about this whole setup with the braid. The fact that I lost that big fish, actually, to be quite honest, just destroyed my confidence in braid for a bit. I just couldn't hold the fish back, even though there was a mono leader on there. I just couldn't really cushion, or the setup couldn't cushion the fish's power. So I changed one of the rods over to mono in the hope that I could perhaps cushion that absolute power they've got before they get to that rockier area there. Basically, I took a page from my friend that's fishing down the bank here, from his book. He fishes here every year, mono straight through, mono leaders, and basically what he does is he picks up a fish and he pressures them. He just holds them until they turn and then plays them. It feels like it's a bit difficult with a braid because of that more direct contact. So I'm going to experiment. I'll report back to you on how we do on the braid versus mono debate. Then I just quickly want to touch on bait. Yesterday we did a bit of an experiment where we dipped one of the baits on the productive spot in flavor, and it seems like the plain tiger nuts are definitely outperforming flavored ones. So at this stage I won't overcomplicate things with flavors, keep it plain and simple, and just keep feeding tiger nuts because it seems like the maize is also pulling in the barbel. So at this stage, plain tiger nuts, simple approach, really strong rigs, and I think you should have success. That was a blistering take. And this wind is pumping. Okay, so I was so scared of this one because I really had to hold on. I was doing what I was advised, just pressuring the fish, just pressuring it away from those rocks. Okay, we're safe now. So I'm going to ease up the pressure a little bit. We'll just play it properly. This wind's so strong, even my hat wants to go. I can't tell you how stressed I am right now. My knees are like jelly. This was actually on the spot that I saw a fish on this morning. I must be honest, I put quite a bit of bait out there last night, and early this morning I topped the spot up with a bit more because I did have a barbel on the rod that was on the spot as well. So obviously the nuisance fish are there and they're feeding. This fish is basically swimming towards me now, but it's still a long way out. I mean, you can see on the spool here, this fish could still be a good 250 to 300 meters out there. So I'm just trying to keep up with it now, keeping the tension on the line, just to try and ensure that if the hook hold was enlarged, that we just keep contact with the fish. So I'm just pumping it and pumping it and pumping it. It's not doing much now. It's just coming. It's not kiting, just coming towards me. I don't think it's particularly massive. Just at this point, just be sure that you do monitor what it's doing, because if it turns around now and starts bolting, you could be in for a world of trouble. This tackle, it's an absolute pleasure to play the fish on as well. Wind cast reels, suited to any style of fishing. Whether it's this kind of fishing on big waters or small waters where you need to cast, they're super light, super smooth. They're not cheap, but it certainly shows, because you get what you pay for. So normally, I would actually go out on the boat and land the fish. But under the circumstances, this wind's a bit strong, so I think I'd be setting myself up for trouble if I had to do that. The two guys, yeah, sure, then it's a lot easier. One guy can steer and control the boat in this wind, and the other guy can concentrate on playing the fish. But in this wind, I wouldn't want to do both. Certainly is a carp, that's for sure. It's playing in a very carpy manner. Strong fish all the same. Okay, that's the leader material. Ooh, he's angry now. He's angry now. This fish has got a lot of power. A lot of power. Look at this thing take line. Definitely not feeling comfortable with the shallow water. I'm going to try and wade in a bit. Some side strain. Just going to apply some side strain. a common. Oh, it's a big one. And yes! What a relief. What a relief. Oh! Oh, it's a big one. Oh, it's a good 30. It's a good 30. Phenomenal. Alright guys, when you're dealing with a fish, especially a larger fish, it's always advisable to get them safe first and then only take them to the bank. So don't just lift up your net because you stand a chance of really damaging the fish. Just ensure the fins are nice and flat against its body. Okay, that's flush. And then just okay, this fish is secure and can now safely be taken to the bank. Okay, 1, 2. Ooh. Let's snap back and fix it. No, I can't. Oops.
As if you put that up,
There we go. Proof is in the pudding. It's a number 2 quarter crank hook. Didn't bend whatsoever, and you saw the pressure I put on the fish there. So that's definitely a hook for the future. Size 2 quarter crank, nice and heavy wire, double target hook bait, and a 50-pound crust and coated hook link. Alright, so importantly again, just be very careful with your catch, take care of it, see that the fins are always flush against the body when you're transferring it from the mat into the sling. The sling, importantly, has been zeroed, or the scale's been zeroed with the wet sling in it, so we know that the weight that the fish goes now is going to be the correct weight. Okay, so you'll see I'm taking my time. I'm being very careful. So we need to look after these gems of Klaserie, everywhere for that matter. Okay. Safely in there now. It's very windy. So it's important to keep the fish wet, especially when it's quite windy. So it's recording a weight of 13.7 kilos or 30 pounds and 30 pounds and 7 ounces. We're off the mark with the first proper Klaserie fish. How brilliant is that? Display this fish to you. It's typical of these big waters. The fish actually look a lot bigger than they weigh. This one only weighs 30 pounds, 7 ounces. But to be honest, when I saw it in the water, I thought we were looking at a very good 30, maybe like a 37. So just shows you. But it must be the adrenaline speaking. But stunning fish. Such a relief after that terrible loss from yesterday. So you just saw me landing that stunning 30-pound common. So I just quickly want to run through the setup that ensured success here. So basically, the leader I stepped up from a 25-pound mono leader, I stepped up to a 43-pound Kingfisher sea fishing leader. They come on little 100-meter spools. They're really inexpensive and it's extremely tough. I could actually feel it going across some rocks. I checked it now, the first couple of meters, there's no damage there. So what I'm going to do next is after every fish, if I'm fortunate enough to have any more, then I'm just going to hook the rig into, because the hook points sustain a bit of damage, so I'm just going to hook it into a tree stump, walk out the 30 meters with the leader and just check it carefully for any nicks or damage. If there's any abrasions or nicks on the line, I'll replace the leader. If not, then it's good to go, and I'll just hook on a new rig and a new lead and just take the rod out again. So that's what I'll be doing next. So I've double-checked the leader up and down, not a single mark. It's good to go. Flipping on the rig and the lead, some bait, and I'm going to go drop the rod off quickly. Hopefully I won't be disturbing any other feeding fish in that area. But luckily, I think the plan with the 2 feeding spots may just be the key to further bites today. So let's see. So let's quickly discuss bait. Basically what we're using on here is tiger nuts as hook baits, and then tiger nuts as freebies, maize as freebies, and also quite a bit of hemp as freebies. Now, what I've noticed in the margins on this dam is that you've got loads of dead little snail shells and mussel shells lying around, so obviously that would be one of the natural foods that the carp get so big on in this dam. So basically, just to give you an illustration there, in my hand I've got a little pile of hemp seed, tiger nut there, I've got a mussel shell, some large snail shells, and then tiny little snail shells. You'll find billions of them in the margins here that washed up, obviously from snails that must have died. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that if you've got a bed of bait like this out, I think you're making it quite easy for the carp to find or something that's similar to their natural food, and that way you'll ensure success. So if you just keep the bait going in, you can have the carp visiting your baited area every couple of hours and stand a chance to catch one on one of your rigs if they're presented right. So just to run through the preparation of hemp seed really, what you'll need is you'll need a medium-sized pot. So I'm cooking up the hemp fresh here on the bank. It gives off a lovely sort of a malty smell, and it gives off quite a bit of oil when you feed it on your spot. You'll see if you drop it on the spot, there's a nice oil slick coming up, and I'm sure that helps a lot to get the fish's attention quite quickly. So basically what you need is some dam water, just your hemp in the pot. You don't have to soak it for long like tigers or maize. In fact, you can actually just cook tigers until they're done. You don't really have to soak them for hours and hours. It's just nice to do it, or easier to do it when it comes to the cooking. So basically you just leave your hemp in the water like this for a couple of hours, not long, and then once you feel that they've soaked for long enough, you just cook this on high. Boil them for about 20 to 30 minutes until they start splitting. Actually, you'll see that, so basically how you know they're done is they start splitting open and they get a little white, almost like a bean sprout coming out. It looks like a seed that's starting to germinate. That's when you know that they're done. And you'll also see that they make a nice little oil slick on the surface of the water, even in the pot. So there you go, that's hemp preparation for you. So further on the topic of bait, I'd just quickly like to touch on tiger nut preparation. So basically all you will need is dam water, tiger nuts. In this case we're just going to prepare 2 kilos fresh. So they've been packed into kilo packs, so you just pop one open, pour the tiger nuts into your bucket of water. Next one. Alright, so that's 2 kilos of dry tiger nuts in there. I'm also adding some rock salt. This is genuine rock salt. That's going to assist with the attractiveness of the bait. At this time of the year when they're when the carp are preparing for spawn, it's not a bad idea to actually put some rock salt in your bait, as it's something that they require and they can't easily get it in their natural environment. Then some sugar as well. Add a bit of sugar in there. In nature, sugar is the reward for effort. So it's definitely something that the fish would be looking out for as well. The sugar and the salt's going to help the tiger nuts create a bit of a scent trail in the water so that the fish locate it easier. And basically all you do then is you just mix the salt and the sugar in there. So these tiger nuts I'll soak overnight, and then I'll boil them tomorrow for about 30 to 40 minutes. In fact, when you put them in your mouth and you sort of just bite on them, you'll feel them split open and they're going to be crunchy on the inside. That's how you know that they're perfect. You'll actually just see the appearance of the tiger nut will be swollen as well. They won't have those dimples that they've got when they dry in the bag the way you buy them. So if you add the rock salt and the sugar to your tiger nuts, you cook them properly, you'll increase the effectiveness of your tiger nuts tremendously. Try it, and I'm sure you'll have a good result.